5 plyometric drills that every runner should start with, and you don't even need equipment. Now, before we get into what these 5 plyometric drills are, we're going to explain what this really is. A plyometric is simply a tool to use something called the stretch shortening cycle. What is that? It simply refers to the ability to stretch something and use that elasticity into kinetic energy or into power or movement. So think of it this way: what produces the most force? If I held the band like this and let go, or if I yanked it back and let go, that second one is what produces the most force. It's a eccentric control of our muscles or elongating of our muscles, followed by a quick turnaround. And so when we go into these plyometric drills, they're going to be progressed from low amplitude or low impact to a higher impact. The first is called the concentric jump. So instead of using the entire stretch shortening cycle, we're going to break it down to just the one. And this is great to start with. Now, whenever you jump, you want to keep your feet underneath your hips. Never have them out, because you can't produce the amount of force. And your knee starts to knock in from right there, and you start to increase your risk for injury. So always have your feet underneath your hips. Next, you always want to have your arms back, especially on the down position. So when you jump, 2 things to keep in mind. Keep the arms tight and let them swing up, and keep it tight here to create the momentum, and your feet needs to be pointed up. The reason why is because by pointing your toes, you are stretching that Achilles tendon, and every time you land, you're concentrically working it, and then we're stretching it again. So we're creating that spring in our tendon. So what it looks like, and just breaking that down, is you're gonna be on the down position, jump, and then land. Notice my knees didn't get knocked in. Pretend there's lasers on those kneecaps. You don't wanna let those lasers cross, okay? Again, holding there, jump, and then you're landing. Jump, and landing. That's a concentric jump. The second is a run in place. Now I know, as a runner, you're going to think this is insulting, but what this is doing is isolating your tendons, your calves or your Achilles tendon, to be able to have that impact control. We're going to alternate. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your feet this time a little more apart. You're going to go side to side. So you're simply going to just run in place. Now, this isn't just running in place and being nice and loose. You're keeping this stiff. You want the ankle to stiffen up because you need that to produce a good power out. Now you're going to go side to side just like this, and you're just going to keep that. Now notice, I'm not having a loose ankle. I'm having a stiff ankle. That's what you want to work on. Now if you're asking, why don't I just run in place? Because it forces poor mechanics. This forces good mechanics, going side to side. This is a side shuffle run. Third is a pogo. Now it's exactly what it sounds like. What you're doing is simply moving like a pogo. Now you can do this for reps where you're doing short, quick movements, and think of it like a beach ball. Quick, small amplitude bounces or big bounces under controlled movement, or a variation of all of them, okay? So let me show you a few different ways to do that. Now look at my ankles when I go through this. I'm not going nice and loose. I'm keeping this nice and tight. This is what it looks like for a small impact. Or you can go continuous in this way, or a variation. Either way, as I'm going down, no matter how high or how low, I'm not letting my knees knock in. I'm keeping that straight. That's what a pogo is. Fourth is a front to back shift or a side to side. Now, this is nice because you're starting to become a little bit more dynamic with this. And what it looks like is same concept. We're trying to get our calves to work like a spring. No soggy springs, okay? You're gonna go front to back. And what you're doing is getting comfortable on your forefoot and on your toes to get that ankle to get more controlled, or you go out and in, or a mix of the two. You can definitely put a band around your ankles, but the idea is just getting more reps. These are plyometrics. This helps create the spring you need within that without overloading yourself. Now the last one's called a drop and hop. What I like about this is it's finally starting to push you to know how to control that descent to be able to come back up. Because if you have poor mechanics in your landing, what that's going to create is poor mechanics in your jumping, and that's going to translate on the track. We don't want that. We're going to learn how to control that. What you're going to do is you're going to have your hands nice and high onto your toes. You're going to drop, and notice how I drop. Legs stay aligned. I'm on the forefoot of my foot, or the ball of my foot, and my heels are barely just above the ground. And then I'm going to jump and land. I'm going to reset. Hands above the head, on your toes, drop, and hop. This allows you to be able to, again, isolate one at a time And instead of pushing yourself, just going straight to the continuous pogos where you're going for height, this allows the time to correct all those poor mechanics or poor habits we're gonna have when developing this. And there you have it, 5 plyometric drills that every runner can start with without needing equipment. You can easily practice this at home, and you can really develop your springiness or your ability to produce force without having to use so much your personal energy and your cardiovascular system. This will really help you out. If you liked everything you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe.